The Department of Health warns the public against the effects of long exposure to summer heat, which may lead to untimely demise, including heat stroke. Joining us in the studio is Mr. Jonathan Somcio, National Field Representative for Safety Services of the Philippine Red Cross, to talk about how to recognize and provide first aid treatment for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Good morning.
Good morning, Amelyn.
Yes. How do we differentiate a normal perspiration or normal pagpapawis from that of a heat stroke?
Usually, a person will be having experience heat stroke usually if they will be exposed to extreme heat. No? And the common defense mechanism of the body is he will be having excessive sweat, so that evaporation will occur, so that it will cool down the body's temperature. So usually, if there will be too much perspiration, usually that will be a common symptoms if you're experiencing heat exhaustions.
What are other telltale signs? Would the person be vomiting? Would the person be nahihilo?
Yeah. Very common because the severe perspirations happening in the body, usually there will be fluid loss, and very common will be simple headache, dizziness, and probably the worst will be unconsciousness if that will not be treated properly.
How long is the sun exposure for someone to experience a heat stroke?
Actually, it really depends on the condition of the person. Usually, if you're going out, if you have physical activities, and you have prolonged exposure in the sunlight, definitely if you're able to take lots of fluids, definitely it will not the effect will be gradually. But if you're not going to replace the fluid loss, definitely it could be a sudden impact or experience, and then either you'll go to heat exhaustion or probably you'll go to heat stroke.
Who are likely candidates of a heat stroke?
Very common will be for the elderly, yeah, and of course for the children. Again, it really depends on the exposure, the time exposure, and of course the physical attributes of the person.
So it could be 34 degrees, but for as long as for that person it's too much heat for them and they're exposed for a lengthy time outside, they could have a heat stroke. Or does it necessarily have to be 37 degrees?
It could
Celsius.
go up, ideally it will be at least above 37. But again, if the body has or the person have any other illnesses or he's not prepared to be exposed in a very long exposure to the sunlight, definitely the body will not be able to recover, and definitely he will be experiencing heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
So what are the first aid tips that you can give us?
Ideally, if the person is exposed to sunlight, the first thing we need to do is try to bring him out to that area. No? So put him in a shaded area, and continuous fanning the person, no? So that the body will cool down. You can either put a wet towel, no? Wipe or pat the body.
Not alcohol.
No, not
Water.
alcohol. Yeah, water,
Cold
cold
water.
water, no, but not directly ice. No?
Okay.
So just to cool down. No? If the person will be able to recover, definitely, if you will see the consciousness will very.
Where do you put it? The cloth that is that is drenched in cold water.
Very common will be on the parts wherein you will feel the hot the body, the armpits, the neck. Okay, so because usually that quickly absorb the coldness to the body itself.
And then what else? What else should we do? Do we lay them down?
You can just while putting in the person in the shaded area. You can at least elevate the head part or slightly elevate the feet part. No? So that's good circulation will be coming back. And of course, just continue monitoring. If the person becomes unconscious, then
send him to the emergency room immediately.
Bring the patient to the hospital.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, Jonathan Somcio, National Field Representative for Safety Services of the Philippine Red Cross. Thank you so much.
Thank you.